Hello and welcome. And today I'm going to talk about Musume Pretty Derby Season 2, Episode 5. Now, after four long episodes of this redemption, of seeing McQueen and Tokai, training and training and training, this was the episode we all wanted to see. Seeing them two racing together. Now, it's been, for the last four episodes, we've been seeing these two trained. For the last four episodes, we've been seeing them training and training, and getting a lot of credit, get a lot of props from the media, getting a lot of attention from in the school and from all over the world who was waiting for this rivalry that they have in this. And like all sports animes, regardless of what sports anime you like or don't like, you see that we like sports animes because of the rivalry. We like it because because when it comes to sports animes and rivalries, it could be a tearjerker where you see this team try so hard or a player tries so hard, but then they end up failing or something that will win. And there's like a tear in your heart. It's like in the, how they say it, with a tear in my eye. This has been the greatest moment of my life. And when I see this episode, it was like, man, talk about a rivalry. Now, I get it. The thing about this show is that, the thing about Musume is that people don't take this show seriously because not only it's a horse girl racing anime, but people don't see this as a freaking sport. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we look at sports animes and people see sports animes as just your regular sport anime. Like Haikyuu, Yamushi Pedal, Yo-Yo Nice, Hajime no Ippo, Prince of Tennis, Hahiro no Sora. The list goes on and on. But what I'm saying is, if you guys watch this show as a sports anime and you feel it as a standpoint of it, it's like, this is the show you have to watch. But other than that, this episode is all about the rivalry. And without further ado, let me get the review of Musume Season 2, Episode 5. Now, everybody from all over the world was waiting for this moment. It's like you know what's gonna happen. You see two of the greatest horse girls in this season, and you want to see them race for the grandest stage of them all. It's like looking at WrestleMania. Like two of the greatest athletes, and they compete on the grandest stage, WrestleMania. It's like that moment. So when I look at this, I felt the intensity in this episode. Just everybody was talking about it. The undefeated Tokai Teio, the undefeated versus the original. And then everybody was like, they see McQueen as the underdog. They see McQueen as the underdog of all. Like, okay, here's Tokai's this resume, and here's McQueen on this side. And that's what I like about rivalries. You're rooting for this person. You got one group rooting for this person, and then you got one group rooting for this team. And you're thinking about, like, whose side are you on? Now, I couldn't decide because what this race proves is the love, the friendship that they have in this show. And the way out of 2 seasons, and it's funny, I'm afraid to say this, but out of all the seasons of Musume Pretty Derby, this race was the best race I've seen. This was the best race I've seen. So, and okay, I'll be honest, while everything was funny and all, and I get that, it was the biggest moment in this episode was the race. Like, everybody was set. Tokai was trained, McQueen trained. But everything leads to this moment. Now, before the race started, McQueen had something in her horseshoe. It broke, so they had to delay it due to this. They had to delay it, so that's fine. But when the race started, my heart was, it was intense. I couldn't decide. Like, where the storyline going to be for, like, how the storyline is going to be if Tokai lose. How is it going to be the storyline if McQueen loses? So I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide who I was on. I was rooting for them. Now, during the race, you got this one horse girl who looked like Ultra Instinct, going Ultra Instinct, I don't know how. But then you got this other horse girl that I didn't care about. I was focusing on McQueen and Tokai at that moment. while they were racing, I'm sorry, even before the entrance, they were doing like rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, like who got the entrance first. Even though I like that thing. But other than that, back to the racing. As they were racing, I was so in, like, oh, I can't look. There were moments in that episode I didn't want to look like this. And there were moments I didn't want to see it, but then I had to see it. And then at some point, it was just like Tokaishi was this close, but she didn't do it. And that kind of like, even the trainer didn't know who to pick. And even everybody didn't want to, even Special Week and the other people and the other horses didn't want to decide who was going to win. They were cheering for both of them despite that. And during the race, Tokai had it, but with all that training she did, getting to this point to face McQueen, it wasn't enough. McQueen went full light speed. And I don't know like Lightning McQueen speed, but full speed, went out ahead in first place. And there was a huge gap. And everybody thinking Tokai could do it. But even with all that training she had, it wasn't enough. After all that accomplishment, after everything Tokai has dreamed for, after everything she wanted to do to prove that she could do it, it didn't work. At that moment, guys, when she was like, I trained so much, I gotta stay undefeated. She's like, McQueen, she screamed out. And McQueen went full light speed. Gapping the lead out, made it to first place. And then Tokai, she came in like 5th place. Now, looking at that episode, looking at that racing, that intense race, it was like one of the Horse Girls fans was sad for Teio to lose. Everybody was cheering for McQueen. Half of the audience was shocked that she lost, that Tokai lost. Some of them was happy to see McQueen win the spring competition for the second straight time, like the underdog won. Because everybody wanted Tokai to win because she's undefeated. And they thinking like, oh, she's undefeated, she's going to win. And everyone's looking at the underdog like McQueen, like there's not much. But when McQueen won, it impacted many people. And it was sad face. Some were sad faces. There were sad faces and some were happy faces. So like I said, I couldn't decide. And I shed a tear a little bit watching this episode. I kind of shed a tear in this episode a little bit because it was just Tokai, Like, she trained, like, after her leg injury, and she was out for months, and then coming to this competition, everybody suspected her to be like that. But the way how she came out in 5th place, it's kind of like the top 5. I'm like, oh, it hit so much. And then, it's like, what's Tokai's dream now? What's her plot now? Like, what's her goal? What is Tokai's goal? Is like her goal was to face McQueen. I get that. But her goal was to be undefeated. So what's her goal now? What is going to be her next big goal? Instead of not being undefeated. She did promise the press that she'll go undefeated and then race her. But what's Tokai's dream now? What is her main goal? Instead of being undefeated, what's going to be a goal? Race against McQueen once again to win? Maybe. I don't know. But now that McQueen has beaten Tokai, the undefeated Tokai, what's McQueen's goal now? What's her goal now? And I like the ending of it when they hugged. Because when they bet, before they even walked out, they said, promising whoever wins don't cry. And I love the friendly, I love the rivalry, that one. That shed the tear a little bit because they hugged and they like, they're not going to cry, but you see how they cry. Even Tokai shed a tear on the side. So with a happy smile. So you gotta love the respect. You gotta love the friendly rivalry, the respect that McQueen and Tokai has for both of them. I love this episode. As intense as it was, You guys gotta admit, the ending was freaking great. And when I say this again, if you guys watch this episode over and over again, you just gotta love. You just gotta love the friendly rivalry they had, and that what makes this episode great. That's what makes this episode great. It was so intense. But like I said, I don't know what's Tokai's goal next in the next race. We'll see. And the thing is, with her loss, she might learn from something. She might learn it. She might learn from what the mistakes she did in this episode, and hopefully we'll see her in the next race. It's like, although Tokai lost, there are still fans out there who supports her, regardless if she will win or lose. But still, regardless of this, I do applaud Tokai for trying her best. So it's kind of hard to say, but yeah, we're gonna see the redemption story of her coming back now. So another redemption story for her to defeat McQueen. So let's see how that works out. But like I said, this was an intense episode. One of the best races so far out of both seasons. And one of the best races I've seen. So thank you for watching this episode of Season 2, Episode 5 of Musume. I look forward for next week's episode, and I hope you will.